Hey, how's everyone doing this afternoon? This is Andy Hall with my tower, of Jenga blocks, along with my constant companions, righty and lefty. And of course, this, I actually have the mirror here somewhere, and I don't know where. Oh, there it is. I'll be right back. I think we have the mirror. Got the mirror of reflection, but it's just a reflection of light. So I don't think the mirror is going to work out because it's very bright over there in the corner. So I'll take the mirror down because I actually just want to start playing Jenga, to tell you the truth. I just had some veggie burgers. And they're not bad. They're just the Morning Star veggie burgers. And they are nutritious as well as delicious. I put a little bit of turmeric. I've been really into turmeric lately, I have to tell you. So the only thing I do with veggie burgers, I just fry them up in pan with some grapeseed oil. I let them cook up there for a little bit. Not too much grapeseed oil, a little bit of grapeseed oil. Then I throw some turmeric on them. A little bit of salt, not too much salt, nothing gratuitous. And then it's a nice mid-afternoon snack. That's what it is. And then there are people who are just tuning in going, oh, I didn't know it'd be a vegetarian Jenga game. I didn't know that. What a drag. I want to talk about pork chops and barbecue. It's like, I can see that, sure. I was talking with my girlfriend about maybe we can barbecue tofu. Why can't we barbecue tofu? I think we could. You can fry tofu. Fried tofu is pretty delicious. Building a tower of Jenga. Bum, bum, bum. And he's building a tower of Jenga. Bow, bow, bow. That's my singing at the Tower of Jenga. I think it's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Building up the tower. I have to tell you, I lost a pound. No one's listening. No one's watching right now, so I can just talk. I lost a pound. I weighed myself this morning. And ideally, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. I was 195. And though for all of you doing the math at home, I'm 194 right now. So the trend line seems to be going in the right direction. I'm not unhappy about that. I've been feeling very allergy-ish today. I feel like I've had a lot of allergies. Well, over the last couple of days, right? So I've been using a salt water rinse and before I go to bed, right? To help clean out my mouth. And that seems, and I had a little bit throughout the day, like 3 times a day I've been doing it. And I don't know if this is just a placebo effect or not, but I do feel like I'm not rubbing my eyes as much and that my allergies aren't as bad. And he's building a tower of Jenga. Do, 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 do. Not bad. Not too shabby, huh, everyone? Pretty cool. Gonna build up this tower. Get it cranking. Oh, look at that. It's a good tower. It's a fantastic tower. But this is what they tell you being a parent. You can't tell the tower that it's your favorite tower because the other towers are going to feel kind of, it's going to be traumatizing for the other towers that you build. So, you're all my favorite towers. If you talk to any parent, of course, parents are they're gonna lie to their kids. They're gonna say, like, of course I don't play favorites or I don't have a favorite kid. That's just lies. Useful lies, though. There are some useful lies in the world. I'll just let you all know. Yes, I was the favorite child in the household that I was growing up in. It was a very low bar, I have to tell you, between me and my sister. So I was the favorite child. I had favorite child status. But when you think about it, it's like being in a gulag, right? What's going on? Did the apocalypse happen while I wasn't looking? It could always. Well, I think that we're still in the ongoing apocalypse digital book. We're in 568. I think this is still the apocalypse that's unraveling, that's being revealed, right? Because that's what the word apocalypse means. It means revealed, something being revealed. So I got some good news today. Good news I can't talk about because of legal restrictions. But I got some good news, and I will be able to talk about this thing in a bit of time, but I can't talk about it today. But at some point, I'll be able to tell you all about my good news. I was talking to a friend of mine just now before I came on the show, or I started the show. It's like, I find that I've been busier since I stopped working, since I stopped doing a 40-hour-a-week job. It seems like I'm busier now than I was before. I was a baby out of 7 kids, so I was the spoiled one. Oh, right. Well, yeah, the baby out of 7, dude. That's a lot of kids. My aunt had 8 kids, and whenever I went over to her house, it was just chaos. I remember it being chaos. There was only my sister and me in my parents' house when I was growing up. And yes, there was only a 2-year difference between the two of us, but I was definitely the favored one just because I had a duck and cover kind of attitude in my home, in the home that I was growing up. I'm like, I'm just going to fly under the radar. I think all of your streams are set to my going to work time and my lunchtime. That's intentional, B. Once again, B, I want to say thanks for having me come on your stream yesterday. I had a lot of fun. Doing the World War II stuff. I'm the second oldest of 8 boys. Did you have to do a lot of corralling dragons? Did you have to do a lot of were you given a lot of responsibility over your siblings? Because I only have 2. I have a boy and a girl, and even then I could have the older one kind of shepherd the younger one. Baby of 7. Yeah. B. So if you ever want me back on, I'd be happy to. I have to tell you, that's my general policy during the apocalypse is that if someone invites me to do something, my go-to is yes, since I'm not getting out of the house and that much until I get vaccinated, which who the heck knows when that's going to be. 8 boys. Was there a lot of pro wrestling going on in that house, Dragons and Genesis? Was there a lot of wrestling? Was there a lot of tomfoolery? I was basically a dad by the time I started high school, and I was done raising kids before I graduated. Well, there you go. That makes you able to do 2 things, Dragons. That makes you probably gives you a proficiency in training dogs, right? Because as my psych professor said, actually Jordan Peterson, yes, the Jordan Peterson, and I'm going to pause for a minute. The Jordan Peterson said during the psych class I was taking with him, he said that if you can't train a dog, you shouldn't be a psychologist. And I'm like, wow, that is some deep truth there, Professor Peterson. So Dragon, so now you know with that kind of skill set from parenting your brothers, you can either be a really good dog trainer or you be really good at having multiple kids. And I have to tell you, that was one of the most strangest things about connecting with my birth family. It turns out that most of them have like lots of kids. And turns out we typically breed like rabbits, which I found surprising. We all got into trouble, huh? What was really interesting is the contrast between my sister and I, because I had that neuromuscular disability, the low muscle mass. I was really clumsy, no upper body strength whatsoever. My sister was completely the opposite. She was physically gifted person, physically, really good in sports, excellent sports. She was a brawler too. She was a brawler. Loved getting into fights. And this is in Brockton. And Brockton, for those of you who don't know, it's like the armpit of Massachusetts. There are many armpits of Massachusetts, but Brockton was a pretty hard place. And my sister just loved getting into fights. So her bedroom was full of awards, trophies for physical excellence, while my room was just full of books and geeky stuff. I don't know if you ever had to do like family therapy when you were growing up, Dragons. You probably didn't, because you probably came from a relatively happy home. But I imagine how weird family therapy must be when you have that many children. My family went to family therapy, and it was difficult enough with just the 4 of us being in the same room together. But I imagine, how did you end up, after learning from Jay Peterson? Well, digital bookworm, that's a very good question. When I was in school, now this is back in the 90s, Jordan Peterson was not the Jordan Peterson you see today. He definitely had the tendencies, and he talked about the things that he talks about today. Solzhenitsyn, Gulag Archipelago, Nietzsche, all of those things. But he wasn't as such a rabid conservative then. He wasn't such a conservative then. And so what I appreciated was Peterson's, his mind. He was a really young guy back then, but he had such a command of real facts, not just these facts that he makes up now, or the word salad he like just spews. Back then, he really pulled his punches, and he wasn't spewing out the same kind of word salad that he is today. And he is. And, he does he's not an idiot. And I think over time, he just got crazy, just got crazier. And to tell you the truth, one of the things that really helped me was, I guess, connecting with the skeptical and the atheist community online, blogging for many years before I started up this YouTube channel, and interacting with other skeptics in the space here, really helped me get some of those wooish ideas out of my head. But that's the thing, right? That's the thing. It isn't, skepticism just isn't a toolbox, right? It's a character issue. It's a character issue in the fact that if you do not want to legitimately know what the truth is, then you can have the toolbox of knowing how to do logic or knowing about logical fallacies. You can have all that, but if you don't have the passion, hey, Tobin Tippleman, if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the character for it, then all that's, I'm not going to say it's useless, but it isn't enough. You have to be passionate about knowing the truth. And that's what I'm always curious. And at a certain point, I realized that a lot of, especially when Peterson blew up a couple of years ago, I looked at what he was saying and it's like, oh man, I cannot get behind this. I could not get it. I feel like I had grown as a person while Peterson just drilled down. He just drilled down into what he was doing. So from when I took that class with him in like 1990, maybe it was 1994, 1995, Peterson since then just basically refined his message and drilled deeper. Well, I think I expanded a bit. And just thought about, how do I know what I know? Does this make sense? How do I know when I'm wrong? And I think Peterson was more about refining his message at that point. That's what I think. My home was pretty dysfunctional, so we stayed away as much as possible. Though I know that story. Left to our own devices, we played rough and tended to experience lots of injuries. Most of my scars come from my siblings. Yeah, that's what I've heard from families with a lot of kids. Yeah, I have to tell you, growing up, I too was not around the house during my teens. I wasn't around the house a whole lot because it was a craziness. It was a mishigas. I think that's the Yiddish word for craziness, mishigas. I did do family therapy with my family when I was in, I think I've talked about this before. I was involved in family therapy, which is like a steel cage death match, with a Lutheran minister who was just getting his clinician's license. So you had my dad, who had PTSD, my mom, who has borderline personality disorder, and my sister, who's a legit sociopath, and me, who I was doing my duck and cover routine in the therapist's office. Like, how are you doing, Andy? Oh, I'm fine. I'm thinking to myself, please do not draw attention to me, sir. Please talk to somebody else in this room besides me. Digital bookworm. My philosophy professor was also a pastor. He knew I was an atheist, but he was decent and was understanding. Well, that's good. That's good. But in those situations, right, you can easily become the parentified child. And for those of you who are acquainted with the term or who are parentified children, you still carry that with you. I've had girlfriends tell me things like, Andy, you cannot be everyone's dad. But that's the effect of being a parentified child, because you want to take care of things, you want to manage things. That's definitely a result from growing up in a dysfunctional home where the adults are not adults, where the adults do not take on an adult role. And so you become a parentified child. And so as a child, you take on, or you feel like you have to take on, the parents' roles. And that creates problems. Psych 101, Jenga. That's what we're doing right now. My philosophy professors in college were pretty cool. I didn't minor in philosophy, but I took a couple of classes, besides a mandatory class. I took an interesting course in the philosophies of China and Japan, in which we had to read through the Taoist philosopher Xuanzi. We read a lot of Confucius stuff, to tell you the truth. A lot of I believe it's the Analects. I think I still have my philosophy book here from that class. I may or may not, I'm not sure, but it was a very thorough book on Chinese philosophy. I can't find it right now. I will say this, and this is my own theory about higher education, so I'm just be blowing smoke out of my butt. I think the first 2 years of most liberal arts colleges could be done in high school. I think that if the first 2 years of a good liberal arts education in college, it's there to make you good citizens, right? To be well-rounded citizens, and that stuff should be done in high school. Oh, see, that was the higher education gods striking me down for my preaching against the current state of affairs. Higher education in the States. All right. Let's see if I can put the house back in order again relatively quickly. All right, let's do this over here. Does that work? I don't think I should. See, I'm just going to shut off this lamp because this lamp is doing nothing but distracting me personally. Oh man, I'm just like going to pull. You guys get to see me just like do this, and just. I'll be happy with that for right now. Girlfriend and I were both parentified children. Oh, yeah. We're constantly trying to fix everything for other people, and we just can't. No dragons in Genesis. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why we get along together, right? Fork stab, tons of mice. But we got our own shit together real quick. That is not using, I tried using the mirror. See, what happened is that once again, I've been busy. I don't know what I've been doing. I've just been busy lately. And so I had a call before the show, which I actually had to use my brain on. And then I pretty much just had my 2 veggie burgers, and here I am. So I tried putting the mirror here, and it just wasn't working for me. And I didn't want to take more time away from actually Jenga-ing to fiddling around with the mirror. So I do have the mirror, but it was just too much of a pain to actually try to manage it. There we go. All right. I think everything's cool now, everyone. Everything's cool. But the mirror will be back because tomorrow, I think my schedule is going to be much easier. I don't have anything planned just before the show. In the 8th grade, I had some issues that resulted in getting me art class twice a day. Well, whatever those issues are, friend, Mr. Templeman, that's pretty cool. Fork stab. I really like fork stab. Fork stab. There should be an automatic Jenga-ing machine that you just throw the pieces in, and it just automatically siphons it into a into a perfect Jenga tower. That's what it should. There should be something like that. So here's an idea. God, now that I keep thinking about the R's at the end of whenever I say idea, it's vexing me. It's vexing me. So if anyone has anything they want, if you can't make it to the stream this Sunday at 10:30, but if you want to ask Hemet something, the Friendly Atheist, then you can always email me with your question. And then I'll ask him while we're doing the live stream. How's that for an idea? I think that's a good idea. That may be an idea that deserves 2 R's at the end of it. Idea. Look at that. All right, so start off with the left hand as always. Now I'm doing the right hand. It's easy to get lulled into the concept that what microphone? Why are you in the way? It's like, don't hate me. I'm just a microphone. There we go. Beautiful. Andy, invent a Jenga block stacker. Someone will buy it. This is true. They would buy it. Especially if people are drinking and playing Jenga at the same time. You don't want to stack the Jenga blocks on your own. You want your own Jenga block stacker. Patent pending. So in Massachusetts, they've actually developed this a lot. So if you want to get a vaccine in Massachusetts, basically you have to sign up or you have to go online or make a phone call, and then you get to wait in line for like hours and hours and hours. However, now they have developed a system that you can just put your name in a queue, in a line, an online line queue. And so it's supposed to make things a lot easier for everyone. Americans will buy anything that makes their life super easy. You're right about that. You're right about that, B. It's going to make your life easier. Even if it's just silly, people will buy it. I don't know if you have seen the Joel Osteen cube. I want to run all the Jenga blocks through a planer so they're the exact same thickness, no loose pieces, same friction. Well, that's what it is, Dragons, right? These Jenga blocks are not uniform. There are different sizes and different weights. They are different weights. Some of them are significantly heavier than others. It would be interesting if Jenga blocks were magnetic indeed. Acme blocks be right. See, I can't think of the word acme without thinking of the coyote. And that's how old I am. The Bugs Bunny, I mean the Roadrunner and the coyote. And everything the coyote would use, anything technical, was coming from Acme. And would invariably blow up in his face. Weil E, right. And really, you know, the Darwin Awards could easily be just rebranded as the Wile E. Coyote Awards, too, when you think about it, right? The Wile E. Coyote. Of course, the Darwin Award, the Wile E. Coyote Awards would be kind of like the Darwin Awards, except you're significantly hungrier since you haven't caught that roadrunner. I think that could be the difference. Acme made the worst catapults. That is correct. Have I told you about there was this Nova special on years ago. I might have mentioned this in one of my drunken rants on atheists drinking out loud. But there was a group of engineers who went up to Scotland. Did you know the creator lived in New Mexico and based his characters off? Oh, I didn't know that, but that makes sense. New Mexico is an arid area with roadrunners and the coyotes. Interesting, B. What was I talking about? It was something. Oh, so there was this Nova show about a bunch of engineers and work people trying to build a trebuchet on the shores of Loch Ness. This is years ago. This is an old show. And trying to use the authentic medieval techniques of building a trebuchet. And what they didn't account for is the amount of rain that would occur in Scotland, and that put a damper on their plans. Acme also made delicious bird feed, indeed. I've been in New Mexico once. Well, I was there for 2 weeks. I was in New Mexico for about 2 weeks. I stayed in Albuquerque. This is back in the day. This is a long time ago. I did this this marathon drive with two of my buddies. We drove from Boston down to Albuquerque, New Mexico in 44 hours. And we also took a break, too, in Missouri because my buddy had to get some furniture. But yeah, it was crazy. I was driving this car that had no air conditioning. My car had no air conditioning. And we were driving in August. It had no radio either. So we had a boom box. And we just drove for 44 hours. Like I said, with a small stop. One person would sleep, one person would navigate, one person would drive. And we would just rotate like that. In Hawaii, they wax their blocks smooth Jenga, right? And then they surf on them afterwards, right? Tons of mice. That tiny house, dude. Providence, right? I don't know if Jason's still in the chat, but in Providence, there are these little micro lofts. Remember those giant tall rocks with the giant boulders placed on the top of the Roadrunner? They actually exist. Yep. Tent rocks, interesting. But in Providence, there are these really cool micro apartments in the nation's first mall. I think it was built in like 1814. It's beautiful. The whole building is beautiful. There's this weird Lovecraftian bookshop on the first floor, and the second and third floors, right, are just these micro apartments. And like I said, on the first floor, there's this weird Lovecraftian bookshop. There's a coffee shop. All these little weird shops on the first floor. And the building itself is beautiful. So how do you like your tiny house, B? Didn't you enjoy it? Is enough room for you? How many square feet does it have? Girlfriend and I were watching, what was it? One of those tiny house shows, I think on the Discovery Channel, like Tiny House Nation or something like that. Oh, no, don't fall. Don't fall. That's not going to work. Mushroom rocks. Oh, that's my girlfriend. She, when she was young, she was out in Utah. Her family lived out there for a period of time. Not for too long, though, I don't think. 75 square feet. Dude, that's fantastic, huh? So are you still in the tiny house, B? I mean, is that your prime residence? Sweet. So where do you park it? I'm curious. Where do you park your tiny house? Tell you the truth, when I was younger, I always dreamed of like, and this is crazy, like living out of a bus, living out of a van, living in a really small space like that. Living in it since November 18th, 2019. Like I said, I had I had a 585 square foot condo before I moved in with my girlfriend. And I thought, that's more space than I need. I don't need all this space. I see asterisk land. Is that where you park it? In some land? I just want to live in a caboose. Caboose would be pretty cool too. Wouldn't want to live in a houseboat though. I'm not into the water scene living. I don't think I could do that comfortably. I've heard about some people living in yurts. Like a yurt is a basic tent, like the Mongols, right? Like the Mongols used to live in. Not with animal hides or anything like that, of course, but yurts, yeah. When I was married during my 30s and 40s, I lived in a good sized house with really too much yard for me, and that scared me straight. Everyone, that scared me straight from owning too much property. A property I don't use, property I don't need. Yurts, that's right. I've seen them renovate a caboose into a tiny house. Super cool. You can find the video on YouTube. My girlfriend just, I think she yelled in anger in the other room. She's like, maybe she's happy. Oh, I think she's doing happy hour over there. I don't know what she's doing. I'm with some people who live in a teepee, huh? That's pretty cool. But in case, my girlfriend drops me at some point, in case she smartens up and drops me, or, a rock drops on her, then I'm going to angle for one of those micro lofts in Providence. Super Adobe is one of the coolest building styles I've come across. Yeah. I've only spent the night, and it was a crappy teepee. When I was in middle school, maybe, I went to this horrible day camp done by the Y. And on the last day, you could sleep over. That's your big fun night. You get to sleep overnight at the day camp. And I slept in a teepee with a bunch of other guys. Worst night ever. It rained. The teepee was not waterproof, so it just rained. It dripped in. And then my mother didn't give me any insect repellent, because why would she do that? And so I woke up wet and covered with mosquito bites. My nana used to live in North Kingston. Lived in a tent for over a year. Never want to see a zipper door ever again. I could see that, dude. I could see that. Yeah, it's funny. Also, as a kid, I had these two competing dreams when I was a kid. about either living out of a bus or a van or something, or owning a mansion. And then I realized as an adult, it's like, yeah, living in a big house, it's more of a pain in the butt unless you have enough money to pay people to clean the house or to take care of the yard and everything. Otherwise, it's just a pain in the butt. Have you slept in the wet spot? Good question. Imaginary God. And Blazing, what are you doing here, Blazing? Good to see you. Better late than never, right? Covering all kinds of topics today. Yurts, micro lofts, marathon drives, parentified children. Just another day here on Jenga. Just another day. What did I hear? I heard something about Denmark, about the government pulling the AstraZeneca vaccine because some people had gotten blood clots from it. Just did a quick read of the story earlier today. Thought the tower was going to fall that time. So, B, do you mind if I ask you, did you buy your little house new or did you buy it used? I'm always curious about the cost, if you don't mind me asking, because I'm curious and I ask intrusive questions. And if you don't want to answer, you can just tell me to go F myself, right? You can just tell me to go screw myself. But I am always curious about the finances, about how it works out. Told me one of my first time camping as an adult, I put a tarp above my tent to keep the shade on the tent. All right. Late at night, it rained. The tarp filled and dumped a lot of water. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem. Camping, I never got some of the best sleep I've ever had was in strange places, beneath overpasses. Interesting. In teepees, hood of a truck. I hate beds. See, I have a very delicate body. I have to sleep in just the right spot. My mom in Oregon just got the Moderna one. Interesting. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. That's not going anywhere. Nope. I guess it was going somewhere. I bought a new cargo trailer and converted it. Dude, that is so sweet. Altogether, it cost me $1,250, huh? That's $1,250. Nice. Well, those numbers work. Those numbers work for tiny home living. Yeah. You watch these shows about people buying tiny houses and they're like spending mad money. Just like the idea of downsizing is to save expenses. I wouldn't want to, spend a ton of money on a tiny house. I almost just dropped or kicked over my light here. That would kind of suck. So that's it, I guess, for the show. Like I said, I have good news, but I can't talk about it for another couple of weeks, probably. It isn't like it's good news for me, to tell you the truth. I have videos on my channel to build those channels. I'm dropping a comedy bit tonight, just a 45 little comedy short based on the Pat Robertson talking about babies being possessed. I have a little short based on that coming out tonight. If you see it in your, on YouTube, if you could upvote it, that would be really nice. I don't even see it. It's gone. It's gone. It's just gone. That's what. And so, yeah, the Jenga tower, everyone, if you're just tuning in, that the tower is dead. Long live the tower, right? The tower is dead. Long live the tower. So, yeah. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully 9 a.m. Eastern. I have no idea what the news stories are going to be, but I start looking at news now. It seems to be based. Okay, so just for those of you who aren't aware, I asked Blazing about the country of Denmark, the government taking AstraZeneca COVID vaccines off the market right now. So Blazing says it seems to be based on 2 cases of blood clots, and only one of those in Denmark. 1 case of blood clots with 142,000 vaccines of the AstraZeneca version given out in Denmark. 1 case of blood clots in 142,000. Oh, hey, digital bookworm. That's right. The 2 towers. The 2 towers. So that's interesting. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. I don't know how that, that doesn't seem to be a lot of, I guess if you're the one person who gets the blood clots, then that's pretty serious. And I'd be curious if there's a causal relationship between getting the vaccine and the blood clots. But once again, I just did a cursory glance at the article earlier today. Seems maybe a quick to draw. Yeah. All right, everyone. Hey, I had a lot of fun. I hope you had some fun. I hope you gained something in the conversation. I do. I always do. I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Be strong.